What is up, everybody? This is Pam with 2200 Taps. Thank you guys for joining us today. This podcast is going to be really something different and really special. Our mission with 2200 Taps is going after the music that is hidden in your personal stories and trauma by giving your feelings a voice in a very safe place. Dave Grohl has a quote. Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. He says, "That's the great thing about music is you could sing a song to 85,000 people and they'll all sing it back to you for 85,000 different reasons," which is really cool. So my personal mission is to help save lives, whatever that needs to look like, with people that want to, help me do that. So today, before we get started on our topic, I do want to introduce to you three amazing people that I personally know in the outside world that have graciously come forward to share their stories with you on the topic that we're about to discuss. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Shawn, Megan, and Renee. So you guys just tell us a little bit about yourself and what y'all do.
Shawn Peterson. I just graduated nursing school, retired in 2015 after 20 years with 7 deployments.
Thank you.
I'm Megan Truesdell. I am a veterinary nurse, and I'm going to school to be a veterinarian.
I'm Renee. I'm 21, and I just started a new job as a personal assistant for a real estate broker.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys again so much for being here. This is a pretty brave thing y'all are willing to do, and I'm so excited to see what y'all are willing to share with our listeners out there. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is actually going to be around suicide. So we're going to hit the ground running hard, and we're just going to go right from the gate. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about how it's affected you, and how you've overcome it and what you have today that maybe you didn't have before. So, Shawn, I would love to start with you. Just kind of give us a background on how suicide has affected you and your own personal story and what that really did to you.
Well, I got back from my final deployment of Iraq and Afghanistan, and I went paragliding in the mountains of California with some friends. And my paraglider collapsed about 12 stories up, and it started to plummet, and my life didn't flash before my eyes, but I got it reinflated, and I hit and broke my back, and I couldn't walk for about almost 9 months. And in those 9 months, nobody visited me. And I had pushed all my family away. I pushed everybody away. I was known as the mean Mr. Clean to some of my soldiers because I was very open, but I was very rigid about a lot of things, and I just didn't want any personal relationships with anybody. And after 9 months, I was to the point where I was going to take myself out. But luckily, one of my commanders caught it because he had been through the training here in Dallas, and he's like, "You're going to do something. I don't want to see that happen. So I want to send you through this training and see if we can fix that." And I had denied any PTSD. I was like, no, I'm fine, like every good soldier does, because if you're diagnosed with PTSD or suicidal, that's the end of your career.
Yeah.
And I was close to the end of retiring, and I was like, I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to just fake it until I get to my retirement. But that accident happened, and I didn't want to... I knew for a fact if I wasn't able to ever walk again, I was going to kill myself. There's no doubt. And my brother knew that, and he came out and visited me and watched me, and my mother knew that. My family knew if I ever lost a limb that I couldn't function fully as a normal human being, that I didn't want to be around, that it wasn't worth it for me.
Wow. So what did you do? What did you do to overcome that? I know you mentioned a training. So what did that look like for you?
So one day I was at home visiting my mother, and I couldn't take it anymore. I started breaking down and crying, and I finally called my commander. I was like, that training, I think I want to try it. I'm at wit's end. I can't do this. So that was like on a Wednesday, and that Friday I was in the training room. And I flew here to Dallas to Pathways, and I went through the training, and one of the things, they were just starting to get military in there, and I was like, there's no fucking way these people can handle what I have to say or what I've seen or what I've done or the monster I've fucking become. That there's no way anybody will be able to deal with this shit. Because they'll look at me and just like everybody else is like, oh, he's fucking crazy. Just move him along. But I went in there and I said some stuff that I was like, you know, they stood up and I was like, I have no friends. My family's been pushed away. And my adopted mother, and I just put it out there. I was like, I told her I wouldn't piss in her fucking mouth if her guts were on fire. And I thought for sure they're going to be like, we can't help you, you have to go. But they heard everything I said, everything I've done, and they're like, okay, what else? That's all you got? What else? Let's hear some more. Put some more on the table. So I just started laying it out. And ever since, I knew that people were actually going to hear what I had to say and weren't judging me. They weren't telling me what I should and shouldn't do. They weren't shoulding all over me, because I don't believe you should tell people what they should and should not do. That's their choice.
Right.
And for too long, you know, I lived a communistic lifestyle, so others didn't. So I was told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what to wear, when to wear it, how to wear it, what to eat, when to eat, how to eat it. Everything was structured. And I was done with the brainwashing of the military. Even though it does have a purpose, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to be me. And and that's where I found who I was. And I've not changed. I wouldn't change it for the world. And everybody knows me, even you, Pam, you know me. Mm-hmm. I don't filter what I have to say anymore.
Right.
I say whether it's deemed inappropriate by society or not. Like, we had a nursing class where we talked about suicide, and I told the whole class my story. I told them, and one of my teachers was like, well, you know, when you're in front of a patient and, you know, they're suicidal, you really shouldn't talk about it. I was like, that's bullshit. The first thing you should do is talk about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You should call them out. We're told to call them out and ask them, are you going to hurt yourself or somebody else? I go, don't pussyfoot around it. Say it as it is. Because fucking people are hurting and nobody's willing to do anything. And then after they do kill themselves, they're like, oh, well, I thought something might be up. Well, you could have fucking changed that person's life, but you chose not to.
By giving them that safe place to talk about it.
To be able to say, hey, I'm going through this too.
Yeah, letting them know they're not alone.
Yeah, I'm not alone. You're not alone. I've done this. I've done it. I've had patients when I'm in clinicals. They're like, oh, and I go, well, here's my story. And I let it out. And like, fuck, you've been through some shit. I was like, yeah. They go, how do you do it? I go, I just do. I know that it hurts. Everybody hurts, you know? Everybody hurts.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say it's okay to cry. It's okay for a man to cry in public. And I do it in front of my kids because I want my kids to know that men have feelings and it's okay. Men can cry. Men can hurt. Just like women. It's okay for a woman to cry, but not for a man.
Yeah, that's.
I believe that's a downfall of society right now.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's, oh, you got to be macho. No, you don't. If you're hurting, you're hurting. But
that's incredible. Well, way to start us off, man. That's what we're going after right there. You know, just truth and honesty and no filter. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Megan. Megan, I want to come to you. So how has suicide affected you?
Well, I think looking back in my life, I think suicide was it was always an option. Like it was always there. When I was 11, my dad died from a heart attack, and during that grieving, that was a thought at 11. I was like, you know, if I just kill myself now, then I can be with him. And that's probably where it started, you know, thinking that was an option and opening myself up to that. And, you know, after that, my mom remarried pretty quickly after, and everything from there just kind of snowballed. It was just, my mom, you know, was depressed. Probably because my dad died. And then she married a drug addict, and I think she couldn't cope. And so, she took Ambien, and so she was just sleeping all the time. And, so then I became the responsible party because I had a drug addict for a stepdad and my mom was asleep. And so who would take care of my siblings? Me. I had to step up and be a parent at 11, 12. And so I think that was anytime I had an interaction with my mom, it was on the table. It was always, you know, if my mom's going to treat me like this, then I might as well just die. And I think I felt like she would have wanted that from me. I told myself that, like, you know, maybe everybody would be better off if I just died. You know, maybe my mom would finally step up if I just died. So that, you know, that was just my lifestyle, like, growing up. And I remember this one specific instance. Had this conversation with my mom, and she had become a nurse. Who knows why? Because she can't even take care of her fucking family, and she thinks that she can handle a job where she takes care of other human beings. I don't know. But she's in nursing school, and I think I'm like 14, maybe. And she takes this class, or she does this trip with her class one day, and they go to a facility where there are teenage children that are suicidal, and she comes home and she is crying, and she hugs me, and that's just so foreign. It's just, and she's like, she says to me, "I'm so sorry. I see these children at this facility, and they're wanting to kill themselves because they don't have parents, or because their parents don't treat them right." She sees this, and so in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is, you know, she's finally going to change. She's going to be there for me for once. And a couple days pass, and I'm having some, you know, high school drama bullshit, whatever. And so, you know, I go to her and I try to confide in her, and hoping that things will be different this time. Cause, you know, anytime before, you know, she just tells me to go away. She doesn't want to hear it, whatever. She doesn't have time for this. And so I go in and I try to talk to her, and I'm like, you know, this is what's going on. And she's like, she just looks at me like I am such an inconvenience. And she's like, why are you telling me this? Like, why are you telling me this? And I'm like, well, because you told me that you were going to be there for me. And you told me that you were going to listen to me. And she was like, and she says that, and I said, you know, you said you were going to change. And I'll never forget this. She just looks me dead in the eyes, and she says, I'm never going to change. I am who I am. What do you want from me? And I just shut down. And that night, I wanted to kill myself more than I'd ever wanted to kill myself before. I snuck out and went to this party, and at 14, and I just drank myself into oblivion. And I just remember waking up the next day in this house, and I don't even remember where I was. And I just thought to myself, I was so pissed that I was still alive. I was so pissed that I had to go home and do this shit all over again. Take care of my siblings and take care of my fucking mom who doesn't even care about me. And, you know, I just kept moving on. I didn't go through with it, obviously. But it continued to be on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Up until, you know, last year.
So what?
Even like, you know, I got married. I had kids, and it still somehow managed to like creep itself back in to my life.
Yeah.
Like if we were struggling, like financially or something, I would think to myself, well, you know, I could just kill myself right now and make my husband's life easier, because then, you know, he'd get life insurance, he'd be set, you know, just figure it out for him. You know, it'd just be so much easier. It'd be so much easier for them. Anytime I would yell at my children, get mad at them, you know, I'd tell myself it'd just be easier for them, because then they wouldn't have a mom who yells at them and treats them like shit.
So it was on the table up until last year, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do different to overcome it?
So like Shawn, I went to Pathways. My friend had been trying to get me to go for a few years, and I got into this situation with my mom. Surprise. You know, so growing up, I came into this approval persona. Like I needed to gain her approval somehow. You know, maybe she'd change, maybe she'd love me if I just did everything I could for her. So last year, I tried to help her by moving her out of her house, away from her drug addict husband, and moving her and my 2 half-sisters in with me and my husband and my 2 kids. And I was so done. I was so drained, because I was back in this situation again where I was fucking raising my mom's children. She still wouldn't change. Even though she didn't have her drug addict husband with her, she was still her. And she was still I was still enabling her. And I was so done. I was so tired. And I told my friend that I would try it. I was like, I'll go. I need something different for myself. I need to not feel like this. I need to not feel like I want to die every time I wake up. And so I went through the training, and I can say today that suicide has not been on the table since I went through the training.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Renee, how has suicide affected you?
In a couple of different ways, actually.
Okay.
So like, it's affected me personally, and then I've like suicidal thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have also been on the other end and lost someone that I love to suicide. So for me, I've dealt with depression since before I knew the word and what it meant. And, you know, I have a mom who deals with mental illness, with bipolar disorder, and so that made my upbringing challenging and just different from some other people's, and was, exposed to that from super young age. And I was around 10, 11, 12 when thoughts of suicide started creeping in, and I don't remember there ever being one like specific reason why. It was just a lot of feelings of being less than other people and feeling undeserving of good things, like legitimately believing that I just wasn't made to have a good life for whatever reason. Because bad things happened. Because I didn't always get what I wanted. Because, just because life was hard. And, it was around that age, too, that my dad had lost his job and things were, like, tough financially, and I was just picking up on a lot of stress within our household. And, yeah, and so it was, like, an idea that was off and on for me. I struggled a lot with whether or not I believed in God and, you know, if I were to kill myself, if that meant I was going to go to hell, you know, is there actually anything, you know, on the other side? And so I only ever attempted suicide once.
So you did attempt?
I did.
Would you mind telling us how you did that?
Yeah. I put a belt around my neck and was, like, attempting to choke myself. And was just... I remember crying and praying and writing all night, and I did that a lot, and trying to just, like, make sense of the feelings that I was experiencing.
How old were you?
11 or 12.
When you did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I ultimately didn't follow through with it just because I was so scared that I was going to go to hell. Because, you know, I was brought up in faith in a Christian home, so that was a huge concern of mine. But I felt like what I was going through wasn't worth continuing to live, so I kept trying to choke myself, and didn't want to because I didn't want to go to hell, and just cried to sleep or something. I don't actually remember. And the next day at school, there was some kind of writing prompt we have, and I don't remember what it even was, but I wrote in my English class about, I just alluded to having thoughts of being unsure whether or not I felt like my life was worth living, but that I still did because I knew that people loved me or whatever. And obviously that was concerning to my teacher, so she took me outside of the classroom and asked me why I wrote it, and I told her that I didn't want to talk about it. And, you know, I could tell she was on the verge of tears, and she said, you know, if you didn't want to talk about it, you wouldn't have written about it. And so I just kind of realized that I was trying to reach out for help. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they took me to the counselor's office and called my parents, and were trying to get me psychiatric help. And I remember that day just feeling like my life was over and feeling like my big secret was out. Even though everybody kind of knew I was depressed, it wasn't hard for people to see. I knew that my parents were concerned about me, because it wasn't difficult for me to overhear their conversations. And anyway, so from there I did get the help I needed, and did visit some doctors and got put on antidepressants. They were concerned that I had bipolar disorder like my mom, and so I did trial and error with mood stabilizers too, and went through counseling, the whole 9 yards. And it did get better, but it was a process for sure. And I just remember feeling like I couldn't be trusted. I remember my mom, you know, in order for me to not be hospitalized, I had to sleep in their bed at night. I remember, like, telling her, well, I'm not going to hurt myself. I just need help because I don't want to feel like this anymore. And she was like, well, that's like somebody with a bomb telling you that they're not going to set it off. And I just hated not feeling trusted with my own life. Thankfully, that was a long time ago. And, like, thankfully, gradually things have gotten better. But depression is still prevalent in my life, I guess.
Now, you said you lost somebody to it.
Yes.
Who did you lose?
Her name was Carly. She's my best friend, and that was just back in 2017.
Okay.
had dealt with similar mental health issues, just depression and anxiety, and ended up taking her life when everybody thought she was doing better. And that kind of triggered me when that happened. Not just because I was grieving the loss of her, but because of how she died.
Would you mind, not going into crazy detail, but would you mind sharing what she did?
Yeah, she hung herself.
Okay.
And yeah.
So what did that do for you as somebody experiencing losing somebody to the very thing that you were struggling with, just as a friend or a sister, you know? What did that do to you?
You know, thankfully I hadn't been struggling with actual suicidal thoughts for years. Depression was still off and on, but that was somebody in my life that I trusted wholeheartedly. And I know she trusted me, and
So what'd that do to you?
it's hard to put words to it.
It's okay.
Because, you know, you grieve the loss of that person,
Okay.
but
So there's a lot of pain there,
there's
though.
a lot of pain there.
Okay. And for those of y'all that can't say, we can absolutely see it here. So that's okay. But with that, what did you do to overcome your struggles and maybe some work around that you've done around all of this?
Still working through it,
Right.
especially with Carly, because that was more recently.
Okay.
I did go through pathways as well just about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It started. Mine wasn't due to suicidal thoughts or anything. I wasn't even at like the worst point of depression I've had in my life, but I had a friend who noticed. I had a friend who said, I see value for you here. I know that you're not happy with your life, and I wasn't. And so yeah, I went through that, and that helped me uncover just some of the junk that I had suppressed for so long.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, Pathways Core Training is actually located here in Irving, Texas. I've actually been through it myself, and it helped save my life. It's part of my story. And that's where I met these amazing people. And if you haven't looked it up, check them out, pathwayscoretraining.org. Put a plug in there for them because this training does help save lives and change family legacies. And you heard it yourself, you know, they're going to meet you there without judgment so you can work on some really hard things. It's really cool. All right, guys, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to take this to a whole other level. So y'all stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Pam again with 2200 Taps. I am joined here again with Shawn, Megan, and Renee. In case you missed it, we are talking about a pretty heavy topic that I feel needs to be talked about. But just a reminder to our listeners out there, this is going to be an example of how the mission for 2200 Taps about going after the music that's hidden in your personal stories and trauma. By giving your feelings a voice in a safe place. This is an example of how we're doing it. But these guys they're sharing real stories, and we just want you guys to hear it and share it with loved ones, especially if you think there are loved ones that are struggling. They were just in the hot seat for about a good 20, 25 minutes talking about their own, personal struggles with suicide and how it's affected them and how they've been able to overcome it and still overcoming a lot of the stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears a little bit to some good stuff, some happy stuff. So I've got a few questions lined up, and I think I'm going to work backwards this time. I think, Renee, we're going to start with you. So first question.
Okay.
What do you have today that you wouldn't have had you actually gone through with it?
A lot. Experiences are like the first thing that come to mind. I I wouldn't have moved to Illinois. Just a short while later, I wouldn't have... Man, I wouldn't have even finished middle school.
So what would you have today? I mean, what do you have now?
What do I have today?
What do you have now that you wouldn't have had?
I grew up. I am a young woman now instead of just a really lost kid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what kind of person do your loved ones get?
A really sensitive one.
No.
Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. You'll have to ask them. But, yeah, now they get, I don't know, someone who's actually living, someone who's going after their life instead of just, letting it pass them by. And it's, now having experience with depression and even suicidal thoughts at times, it's it gives your life this whole other greater value, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother.
Yeah, what's his name?
Jackson.
How old is he?
He's 15.
So you have a younger brother.
Yeah.
So what kind of an older sister does Jackson get now that you've got all this under your belt and you've essentially, come out on the other side? What kind of a sister does he get?
A confident leader of a sister who has hope and faith in the future. And that's my, through Pathways, you get your own little contract, and that's my one through teen to family camp. But in all seriousness, I didn't get to have an older sibling, and it means a lot to me that even though I'm going to mess up, he gets to see someone have a front row seat and witness them overcome some really tough shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone who's going to be real and authentic about it and not hide it.
How cool is that to know that you can do that for your little brother?
Really cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Megan, what do you have today that you wouldn't have had actually if you had actually gone through with it?
I have a purpose. I have a life that is worth living. I have a family that loves me so much. I have a family now that gives me the love that I had deserved all along. I have a wonderful husband who encourages me every day to chase my dreams and believes in me. It makes me believe in myself. I have a destiny. I have a future. I have something to look forward to.
And what kind of a person do your loved ones get now that is off the table?
They get someone who can love themselves and show them what it's like to make mistakes, like Renee said, to be real and keep pushing through life, even through all of the tough shit. Just keep going. They get an authentic person, a loving person, a fucking ray of sunshine. That's part of my contract. And that one always sticks with me the most out of my contract because, that's what I aim to be. My true authentic self is someone who's bright and bubbly and just shines.
You said you had kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are their names?
Mason and Austin.
How old are they?
Mason is 7 and Austin is 3.
So they're babies. Well,
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
What kind of mommy do they get?
They get per my contract, they get a fun-loving, grace-giving, Lego-building mama bear. And that couldn't be any truer. I can be myself. I can build Legos with them, even if I don't know how to do that shit. I still don't know how to do that shit. I'm not a Lego builder. But I will get down on the floor with them.
Squares go with squares, rectangles, you build things.
Dude,
you know.
these kids are amazing. And my husband's insane with these Legos. But, like, they'll sit down on the floor and they'll build, like, rocket ships and cars. And I'm like, I built a tower. Yeah. So, I mean, and they get to see me just being me, and that's so important because they need a role model to look up to. They need somebody to be authentic and see that they can make mistakes and still have someone that stands there for them. You know, something that I didn't have. I get to be that for them.
So would you say you were able to change your legacy?
Absolutely.
How cool is that?
It's amazing. It's a game changer.
Thank you. Shawn, what do you have today that you would not have had you actually gone through with it?
I got to have a blast. I got to have a life that I've retired, so I have an income. I'm starting a second career, so I get to have travel money so I can take my kids to all the countries I've been to and to other countries I want to go to. And I have 3 kids and a wonderful, beautiful wife that I can lean on when I need to and holds my shit accountable. I got to be unfiltered because I don't think anybody should be filtered. I don't think anybody should have to hide behind a mask of, oh, things are great. No, they're not. Things are shitty right now. Mm-hmm. And I had an opportunity, and I called a classmate of mine out in nursing school because she was acting strange, and I was like, what the fuck is going on with you? And she goes, well, I don't think it's that. I think it's something more serious. And she got into, well, you know, life really isn't worth living. And I told her my story, and she goes, how do you know this? Who told you this? I go, I got it because I can read you. I can read your fucking mail because I've been there. So I can see what you're going through. I can feel it across the fucking room. Mm-hmm. I go, I can feel the stress off everybody in this room when we're getting ready for a test. I go, because I spot it because I got it. I'm going through the same shit you are.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something different. I'm not going to sit there and let it ruin my life or run my life. I make the choices in my destiny, nobody else.
That's awesome. That's very true. Now, you said you've got a wonderful wife.
Uh-huh.
What kind of a husband does she get?
Well, I'm quite fun, I must say. I am a laugh a minute.
Yes, you are.
Or, well, every 30 seconds, depends upon what you're talking about. No, she gets, I get a cry in front of her, and she gets to see, you know, we fight. Every couple fights. If some couple says, oh, we never fight, they're lying to you. Mm. They're lying to you. We fight, but I can be vulnerable enough to come back and apologize for what I've done, and to be vulnerable enough to say I'm hurting and I don't know why, or I'm hurting because of this. I'm hurting. I feel, you know, last semester in nursing school, I told her, I was like, I feel like I'm depressed because I'm so scared I'm not going to make it because it's so fucking hard. And she gets to see that, and she gets to participate when, you know, and she gets to have a strong husband, and not strong in the sense of America of, oh, he's macho, he's tough, he's been to combat so many times and he's done this. He's strong because he's vulnerable. He's strong because he knows it's okay. He's going to be okay, and it's okay to be vulnerable in front of other people. And that's who makes him who he is.
That's awesome. And you did say you have kids?
Oh, yeah.
What are their names, and how old are they?
Seth and Andrea are 3. And Spearsy's 4. Well, he just turned 5.
Spearsy's.
Yeah.
What kind of daddy do they get?
Fun daddy who's real with them. And, you know, like if they're hurting, we're like, hey, are you okay? And if they see daddy hurt, and they can come up and they go, Daddy, are you okay? And I can say, no, Daddy's not okay. Daddy's hurting. Daddy doesn't feel good. Or, you know, Daddy's really sad. You know, they get to see that. And when I'm home, I'm Shawn. I'm let's play, let's have fun, let's read, we got rid of TV because I think it's ruining America because that's the babysitter for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We'll throw them in front of the TV. That then I don't have to participate in their lives. I don't have to be involved, and I don't want to be that. So we got rid of the TV, and we did that long before we had kids. But it's made life so much better because now we read and we play Legos and we play Magnetiles and we got Lincoln Logs and that's what we do. We talk. We participate in life,
mm-hmm.
which in today's society nobody participates in life.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, cool. So now for the fun stuff, the even more fun stuff. I'm really biased towards music, which is why we're doing this and why I started my little company. So, Shawn, I'm going to start with you. What is your all-time favorite band? What do you love to listen to when you're feeling not centered, so to speak? And what kind of music? Well, first of all, has music helped save your life? If so, how? And who's your favorite band? We'll just do that.
Well, yeah, I think music, it touches the soul of humans at any age. You look at a little child and he will dance to whatever music is playing, like nobody's watching. And I think if people would listen to the lyrics more, they'd get more out of the song. And I don't think people listen to the lyrics because there's a lot of meaning in the lyrics. My favorite band is here from Texas, and that's Blue October. And my favorite song is Home. Anytime I will cry for that song all the time. That song is just so amazing because it reminds me of what I have and what I have to look forward to. I love that song. And I try to see them every year because they come around my birthday.
So how impactful has music been to you?
It's been impactful enough where I bought a $700 pair of headphones.
Wow, that's awesome.
Because I really love to listen. And if I could buy one of these days, I'm going to have the $2,200 pair.
Yes.
And they're molded to my ears. So, and I love the crispness and the music and listening to the words. And it may have a great beat, but if the words are shit,
Yep. And I'm going to just keep my mouth shut on that one because that's not what this podcast is about. Cool. All right. So, Megan, same thing. I don't remember what questions. We're not going to go in order, but just music in general. How's it impacted you? Who's your favorite band? Spill it.
Man, music has been very prominent in my life. When I was starting in middle school, I was in choir, and then I was in show choir in high school. And so I love it. I love music. I don't think I have a favorite band. Like, I'm sitting here trying to mull it over, and I'm just going to be, straightforward. I don't have a favorite band. I listen to a variety of music. I listen to pop. I listen to R&B. I love musicals. I'm obsessed. I love
What's
musicals.
your favorite musical?
Okay, well, right now, because it's ever changing. Right now, I've been obsessed with Wicked. I love Wicked because it's so, the storyline is amazing because you have your main character, Elphaba. It's actually based around the Wizard of Oz. It's about the Wicked Witch of the West. And so it's about Elphaba, and from the very beginning, from when she was born, she was different. And because her skin is green, and because of that, everyone hated her. And she still had this hope and dream that she would be different, that she would be good. And no matter what, everything always went to shit. And so her dreams were crushed because nobody believed in her, because everybody was always out to get her. And it was just, the storyline is beautiful, and the orchestra is amazing. I love it. And I love the show. I can't wait until they're not coming to Dallas.
What?
In the next year, and I hate it. So I'm going to have to travel 5 hours to Arkansas
I
to go
thought they
see
were
them.
coming to Dallas.
They're not coming to Dallas? Are they going to be in Texas at all?
No. I just looked at
They were
the
here like
touring.
a year or two ago, weren't they?
I remember that.
I looked at the
remember
touring
that.
last night, like just last night. So the closest one is in Arkansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go see them in Arkansas. I will drive the 5
Talk
hours.
about a fun commitment, you know?
Right? I know.
That's some good stuff.
And I've my poor husband, Jake, has been
Hi, Jake.
has been subjected to my musical obsession, and so and he's actually turned out to like them. You know,
Really?
yeah, he likes. I think his favorite one is it's either Rent or Into the Woods. Maybe Into the Woods is a great one. Which I am also obsessed with. I'm just obsessed
Rent
with all
is
the musicals.
amazing.
Yes, it is.
Shout out to my best friend Charity. She actually played Maureen in Rent.
I am so jealous right now. Oh my gosh.
She was Maureen. I'm like, oh hey girl.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And Idina Menzel, who played her in the musical,
Yes.
she also played Elphaba in Wicked.
Oh, wow.
Idina Menzel is just the most amazing person ever. Life goals, you know. So, but music is just, it's vital for me. And like Shawn was saying, it's in the lyrics. You know, the words just flow through me when I am inspired by something. I will drive in the car and I'll turn it all the way up and I'll roll down the windows and I'll scream the music. And I mean, it just flows through me. I love it. I love the lyrics. I love the orchestration, everything about music.
Powerful. Even the metaphor. I mean, even talking about Alphaba and how everybody looked at her because she was different and the world was against her. And I'm just thinking, man, what a metaphor for so many people out there. And it's just, and it's a musical, like quote unquote musical.
And you feel that in your soul, like when you watch that. You know, she sings a song called "No Good Deed Goes Unpunished," and she's at her turning point where she's like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do, everything I do turns into disaster, and so it gives me chills every time I listen to that song because I'm like, damn.
Well, you got to
Damned
introduce
if you
me.
do, damned if you don't. Yeah, no, we got.
I've never heard it. You got to introduce me.
Let's go to Arkansas.
Oh, all right. Let's
Well,
do it.
she needs to be introduced from the girl from Frozen. Just get over it.
That's yeah.
Let It Go?
Let it go. That's Idina Menzel.
Let it go.
Is there
That's
really?
Idina Menzel. For real. I know. Yeah. I mean, she's everywhere.
She's everywhere,
Love
man.
the shit out of her.
She sounds like a strong, independent woman.
She is. She's amazing.
That's cool. All right, Renee. So same thing, right? So music, how has it impacted you? How is it, you know, just anything music? Like, what has it done for you? And who's your favorite band?
I'm the same way. It's so hard to name like just one.
Yeah, I got you.
My gosh. It's really hard to name just one, and I'm similar to Megan, where like I haven't like sold my soul to any particular genre. It's so hard. Like, okay, I'm just gonna go there. Like, it's so hard dating when you're like, it's an easy conversation starter to be like, yeah, what kind of music do you listen to? And everybody always starts out saying, oh, like a little bit of everything. And you're like, oh, okay, like what? And start naming some stuff, and it's all the same genre. And you're like, so a little bit of that genre.
A little bit of all the same genre.
Like, don't
Yeah.
you like polka or?
Oh, see, I like to screw with people. Hey, what's your favorite music? I like to hear babies screaming in pain and maybe puppies being beat. But most people think I'm weird for that. But you know,
Wow.
That would
Shawn
be,
Peterson,
that would be
everybody.
the
That's
end of
Shawn
the day
for
me.
Yeah.
you gotta mess with people a little bit sometimes.
But I don't know. I like positive, uplifting stuff
Yeah.
just as much as I like songs that get into real shit. I don't know. Like sometimes I just find a song and I want to listen to it and lay in bed and stare at the ceiling and be like, you know what? I identify with this. I relate to this. I could have written these words myself. So I'm just going to sit here and muse and just be this for a little while. No matter what that is. If it's, I don't know, because there's songs all across the board about every situation you can imagine and every feeling that's probably ever been identified in human existence. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing that you can express that, and then also people that you will never meet can identify with it and
Well, it's like
and
going to
feel
a
it,
concert.
too.
You know, if you think about it, you go to a concert
Yeah.
and people are like, "Oh, hey, you like him too? Oh, yeah, I like he's great." And you meet all these
Yeah.
friends at the concert. It's just because, you know, and you might like the same song, or it's like, "Well, that song really sucks," but this song is really good.
Yeah.
So, do you think the lyrics capture you or the melody?
I mean, both.
Yeah.
Both. There have even been times where I've been like, wow, I would really like this song if they wrote it differently.
Okay, so
The song would be great if it wasn't for the singer's voice.
okay, I thought about this the other day. My 12-year-old sister is obsessed with K-pop.
What's that?
Oh, Korean pop.
Korean pop.
music.
There's
Can't
this
under-
famous
Yes.
band called BTS, and I listened to it, and I'm like, this is the catchiest shit. If I could only understand the lyrics.
Like La Chona. Have you heard that song?
Is that English?
It's a Hispanic song. I don't know any of the words, but that
Laronia?
song, La Chona.
La Chona.
Oh,
That song, I will listen to that song as like, that song is amazing. I don't know what the hell they're saying, but that song is amazing.
That's so.
there's a song called La Llorona.
Oh, you're thinking
La Llorona.
you're thinking Chicharrona?
No,
La Cucaracha?
chicharrones. That's a food.
La Cucaracha?
No,
Yes.
La Llorona. That one's a really pretty song.
My
My
Sharona?
Sharona.
No,
My Sharona.
no, La Llorona. They sing that in Coco.
My Sharona.
I'm obsessed with Disney
Coco?
also. So,
That
yeah.
was a cute
Can you tell we have parents here?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Hey, you know what?
Frozen,
I was obsessed
Coco?
with Disney before my kids came along, so they just got added into that shit.
Coco
with
reminds
like-
me of like me when I was growing up, like the little guitar player with a Hispanic grandma that just, you know, like everything's a curse and
No music
I love
superstitious
it. I
and
love that.
everything. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I
it's like
love
my story.
Coco.
That's cool.
Well, it's like my kids, it pissed my wife off, but I went and bought him a real drum set. A real little, has a kicker drum, has a snare, has a tom, and has a cymbal. And she's like, "Why did you buy that?" I go, "I want my kids to know music. We got a piano, and I'm waiting to find some air instruments so I can buy those." I mean, it'll piss her off, but I want my kids to know music. You know, I want them to be able to play, and they'll sit and they'll beat the hell out of those drums. And I've had to tape towels to them, so it's like real dudded.
Yeah.
But I got videos of them just jamming out.
It's cute. I have a picture of my 7-year-old when he was younger, and he's sitting in front of this drum set in just a diaper. I have to find that picture. I'll show you, but it's really cute. He's got like the little headset, and he's just sitting in a diaper and just like beating on the drums. It's adorable.
Yeah, my first guitar, I would play it and I'd pretend I was Richie Valens singing Donna, like, and I didn't know what I was playing. I was just, my mom's got it on video somewhere, so Mom, keep that video locked up.
Please post it.
We would like to all see it.
Yes, we would all like to see that.
Like the little
Happy
Richie Valens
birthday.
curl.
Here's a posting.
All right, so we are going to wrap this up here. So one last thing. If you guys have, not advice, but something that you would tell somebody out there that is maybe struggling or kind of like, man, I don't know if I want help, or I don't know what this is, or, you know, they're just in that we've all felt it, that in between, right? It's like, do I want help? Do I not, you know, kind of lost, so to speak. If there's something you could convey to our listeners, what would it be?
I mean, I know a lot of people have had to deal with others who have committed suicide, and it left a lot of questions for them of, well, why'd they do it? Even though the person left a note, why? What was so bad that you had to do that? When, you know, I see suicide as a long-term fix to a short-term problem. And that's all it is. And it's, you know, everybody will say, oh, just reach out for help. Well, it's not that easy. It's really not. But be open to if somebody calls you on that, to be willing enough to say, yeah, I'm fucking hurting. This sucks. And I don't know what to do. And the only thing I can think of is taking myself out.
Now, Shawn, you and I are both veterans.
Mm-hmm.
For the veterans specifically, just as a fellow vet brother, what would you tell them?
You're not a monster. You're not a monster because you're thinking of that. Everybody has thought of it at one point in time in their life, especially veterans, because you've seen death or you're going to see death, and it sucks. And it's one of those, don't not talk about it. Talk about it. Bring it up. And don't judge people because they have feelings about it of, you know, oh, you're a bad person because you want to kill yourself. No, you're not. You're struggling just like everybody else. You're just struggling and you need help. And sometimes you have to give them your faith of life can be better until they find it themselves. But don't turn away from it. Look at it. Look at it square in the fucking eye, because it's an ugly beast to look at.
So, for me, I'd say, know that you're not alone. There is someone out there who has been through what you're going through. There is someone that will be there for you. And if the person that you talk to can't be there for you, then reach out to someone else. There is someone out there for you. I don't care if I don't know you. I will sit there and I will listen all night. I will listen to you until you are done crying your heart out. And if you're not done, that's okay. I mean, just know that you're not alone and that there are better days to come. If you don't take your life, there is always something better to come.
Yeah. After my friend Carly passed away, like, a thought that, like, is still reoccurring for me is just, like, how much more brokenhearted I am for her than I even am for, like, having lost her. And I know that might sound kind of harsh. Like, of course I miss her. Of course it's devastating and heartbreaking, and I still grieve that loss. But, like, the biggest pain that came out of it was just realizing that she doesn't get another shot. You know, she ended that for herself, and I just personally feel like she robbed herself of opportunity for healing. And that's what hurts the most, is that, you know, her story didn't have to end that way. And so for anybody who's struggling with that, I guess that's what I want to say. It doesn't have to end this way. You know, it may feel like it's the only option, it's the only way to stop the suffering, to let yourself loose, to let yourself go. But there are other options. There is a better way, even if you don't see it right now. And so I would just want to encourage those people to find someone who is going to listen and who is going to take you seriously, because there are going to be people who write you off, who don't take it seriously, who say that you're attention seeking or you're whatever, fill in the blank. But find someone who's going to take you seriously, and if they offer you help, then you have every right to take it.
And it's like if it's a parent who's thinking of it, and they're like, well, this is my only option. Think about, what would you tell your child if your child said, I'm going to do that? Would you say, well, that's your only option, go ahead? Right. That's not acceptable. Right. That's not. And for you to do it, you know, and suicide is a very selfish act. Very selfish in and of itself. Because you might be able to change somebody else's life by sticking around and telling your story of what stopped you from doing it, or what made you get there. You know, could be molestation, could be anything. What got you to that point where you were thinking about doing it, like all of us? You know, if we don't talk about it, it won't go away. The only way to make something go away is to talk about it and confront it.
I would like to say, for me, I don't think that suicide is selfish. I think that that's very harsh to say that, because if someone is at that point of thinking that they want to take their lives, then that is such a low point for them, and that's pain. That is hurt, and I don't know how to describe it other than not selfish, but it's just battling your own shit, and sometimes people just can't overcome that, and that sucks. But that doesn't mean that they didn't love somebody any less. That doesn't mean that they didn't care for anybody any more or any less. That just means that they were so wrapped up in their pain and in their suffering that they just could not get past it. They couldn't get over it, and it sucks.
I remember feeling so angry whenever, you know, I was told that Carly passed away, because it was like, well, we had a really strong friendship. She knew she could come to me for anything. There were times that she did come to me for things. There were times that I went her for for different things, and we talked about that stuff. We talked about depression. We talked about anxiety. We talked about suicidal thoughts. We talked about trauma that happened in both of our lives. Like, it's not that she didn't have someone to go to. It was her choice not to. You know, I've heard different people say things like, you know, people who are actually suicidal don't tell anybody. They don't ask for help because they know if they do, somebody's going to intervene in some way, shape, or form. You know, and each situation is unique and different, but anyways, the conclusion that I've at least came to personally, with my own story with my friend is just that, you know, that wasn't her in a healthy state of mind. That wasn't healthy, Carly, that took her life. She was sick, like literally sick. Mental illness is an illness, y'all. And it's just so sad that sometimes it wins, sometimes.
And it needs to be talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be kind of in the, and we're wrapping up here. Man, I used to be like, man, it's selfish, the whole 9 yards, because I've lost way more people than I really care to count to suicide. Friends, family, like you name it. I've seen it. I used to think it was selfish until it was me. And then I was like, man, I just want the pain to stop.
Right.
I just want it to stop. And I won't go into my story because that's going to be for something else, you know, a later podcast. But I think we can all agree that we all have different feelings around it when we're all in that headspace of like, you just want the pain to stop.
And that's the thing is we all have different feelings about it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have those feelings.
Yeah.
I feel it's selfish. Others don't. That's okay. Yeah. I'm not judging anybody because of that.
Absolutely.
But we all have feelings and they're all different. Just because somebody eats a oatmeal raisin cookie, the worst cookie in the world, doesn't make them a bad person.
Right.
You know,
it's
just the kind of cookie they like. You know, but we all have different opinions. And I see that in society today of too many people think only their opinion counts.
Right.
And it doesn't. I want to surround myself with people with different opinions so I can say, I think this is selfish. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I got 3 different opinions here. And that's great. That makes me learn. Okay, well, I can see where you guys see it that way. And hopefully you guys can see where I see it, the way I see it.
The way you explained it, I was able to see it from that perspective.
Yeah. For
sure. Absolutely.
But too many people they slough off suicide and just, like she said, they're getting attention. They're trying to get attention. No, they're screaming for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're screaming for help for a good reason, because one of these days, it's no longer going to be a scream. It's going to be shutting of a coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's...
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here.
My pleasure.
It absolutely means the world to me. I hope to have you guys, you know, down the road. I mean, Shawn, you're funny as hell. Megan, you just
leave
get
my
after
looks
it.
out of this, please.
Renee, you are so innocent, girl. I'm gonna get you out of your shell. No, but thank you guys, and thank y'all for listening, for tuning in. And if you like this podcast, absolutely subscribe. You know, we're gonna try to do this maybe once a month for now, until I can get my feet under me to get it out maybe once every couple of weeks, and who knows where this can go and where it can take off. So thank you guys so much again, and
thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Our pleasure.
And you guys can find me at 2200 Taps. That's 2200taps.com. All my social media is linked to that. And stay tuned and stand by as to where you can find this podcast, but it should be linked there at some point. So y'all hang tight, and thank you guys so much for your support, and we'll talk to you soon.